Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is CJ back in the flesh. I know I'm never in front of the camera, but I figure, you know what, why not pop at one time? But everybody know I'm still a Green Bay fan. We're going to talk a little bit about the Be Easy Reef and some changes that's going to be coming. And you know what? After doing maintenance stuff, last video, if you didn't get a chance to check episode 34, go back and check it out. Give you guys a walkthrough on all the things that we've been doing. But I was wondering, what about a way to make it easier, especially when it came to water changes? What could we do to make it easier? So I sat in this chair and I said, it's easy being easy. Easy being easy. Easy being easy. And look at her. Craziness. Crazy how that works. Try it at home, and you may end up with a brand new Neptune system DOS quad drive. Now, dope part about this, I've never used a DOS before, and this being my first time, I'm going to share the experience with you all. First thoughts on it. I guess if you want to say review, I'm not going to really say a review because I haven't used it yet, but the ultimate plan for this is going to be to finally automate water changes on the Be Easy Reef. And that's something that I've always wanted to do. When I looked at the Be Easy Water Change Closet Station, I know it's a long name. I always got some kind of weird name for the stuff I do, but the point is to work on stability of the system. And even though water changes are quick, I mean, I can do them pretty fast, 5, 10, 15, 20 gallons. I think that incremental water changes over the month, whether it's 60, 70% turnover in the tank, is going to be better. And this is going to be the tool that we're going to use to get that done. So stay tuned, stay locked in. We're going to get this thing opened up. I'm going to walk you guys through how I set up my first ever auto water change system, and some of the automation safety things we're going to try to plug in and program into the Neptune, Apex, and everything in between. So let's get it. So first things first, let's go ahead and crack the box open and check out the Neptune DOS quad drive. As I said before, it's my first time ever handling one or seeing one face to face in person. So first thought, this thing's a lot bigger than I expected it to be, but it's built solidly. It has some mounting brackets on the back if you want to punch those holes out. It has some little grippies on the bottom if you want to put it on the shelf. And then the color scheme, definitely digging it. I've always kind of been the dark mode or night mode kind of guy whenever I set my screensavers and stuff. So I like the darker colors. It does include all of the required connecting cables, the one link cable if you choose to do that. Also has the graduated cylinder for calibration, which I think is dope because I don't have one of these around, so definitely needed this. Then of course, power brick if you end up using power supply and the Aquabus cable, which in my case I'm not going to end up needing. And other than that, let's get it set up. So we're going to skip ahead a bit. I figured it wasn't worth really recording myself, struggling to fish roly line through holes in the drywall as I tried to route them from the laundry room all the way through the ceiling to the DOS so I can drain the tank, and then from the water change closet to the DOS and to the tank. So that's pretty much where we are now. And at this point, it's time to prime the lines. One word of advice I will say, instead of holding down this button like I'm doing on the left, just slide the slider to the right in Neptune Fusion and just turn the pump on, and that'll prime it for you too. Just a pro tip that I found out. Now the next thing is gonna be calibration. Now, luckily, they have all these tasks built in the Neptune Fusion. So for me, just scrolling, finding the task for calibration, hitting the button, and then just using the graduated cylinder and just letting it fill up. And then of course, once it fills up, whatever amount is actually in the cylinder is what you're going to input in the Fusion. So in my case, it wasn't the expected 40 milliliters. Ended up being, I think, like 38 or so, which was fine. Go ahead and adjust it and keep it moving. So this is pretty much the most important part for me, making sure that I have consistent dosing as far as to the tank and water being removed from the tank. So that way, for my purposes of auto water changes, I don't have any issues with salinity swings or, the tank being overfilled or underfilled. This just makes it a lot easier, making sure it all goes right. Now, another important thing I want to mention is going to be where I'm going to send my wastewater. And for me, the laundry room already has the roti unit in here, have the wastewater from the roti line going down the washer drain. So I was thinking, why not drain the tank water down there? That's exactly what we did after getting it calibrated, just routing it right down the existing line. Bad part was running it all the way to the water change closet and through the wall, which is where we pretty much are now. So, but at this point, everything is ran, everything is calibrated. And what you're seeing now is going to be the most work I'm going to have to do on the Be Easy Reef going forward, or at least that's the plan. With setting up auto water changes, I'm literally just going to have to refill my 25-gallon of, roadie and salt water maybe every 2 weeks or monthly. I'm not sure how much I'm going to change yet, but just refilling this and then letting the dose handle the water changes is going to be amazing. Now, if you're new to the channel, you got to keep in mind I built this water change station in the closet to make water changes easier by just having to flip a lever and just, pump in 10, 15, 20 gallons to the tank. But the next logical step was going to be automation. So that way we can do incremental changes over time and hopefully, increase the stability between water changes in the tank, which I know for sure has been an impact every time I do a water change, and that's something we're trying to remedy. So now we got everything primed, we got everything calibrated, we got fresh water in the mixing station. Time to jump into Fusion and select the task for automatic water changes for the Neptune DOS Quad drive. And they have it already set up. They give you a diagram on how you should run it. There's something on there I don't like, we're going to mention later in the video. I'll kind of explain it to you, but other than that, it does allow you to kind of select the amount you want changed, select the time of day you want it changed. You can relabel the head so that way on Fusion it says what you want, and then that's pretty much it. It uploads it and it's ready to go. Now, I did jump in there and kind of poke around a little bit, and something interesting worth noting, depending on the time window you have your water changes set for, it doesn't run 24/7. I noticed it had incremental changes. I believe it was every 13 minutes or so. It would pump out and pump in like 600 milliliters or so, and then it would do that over and over until it hit the threshold and the time frame you wanted. So, theoretically, you can stretch this out all day if you wanted to, or have it change during the morning or change during the evening. You really have options to do what you want. Now, one thing I do want to mention, I went a little further as far as extra precautions. So I did take advantage of the liquid level sensor on my Sump, and I probably will also do the same for the optical sensor on the Neptune ATK, because it's all in the same ecosystem as far as in Fusion. So you can take advantage of all those sensors and set additional upper and lower limits for the Neptune DOS. So basically what I'm telling it is if you drain below a certain level in the Sump, which is like 4.5 inches, shut the DOS off no matter what. I don't care what's going on. And if you're filling over 7 inches, shut the DOS off no matter what. So that way, just in case there's some kind of weird, virus, or I don't know what it could be that would cause the doses to keep running, this is going to help be an extra line of defense against overfilling and underfilling on the Be Easy Reef. Also did the same with the ATK, or the auto top off. Put some lines of code in there that if the doses are running, to shut off the auto top off. So even though the dose is removing and adding at the same time, I don't want any potential chance of more roadie water being entered into the tank just because it's being drained from the dose, or just because it's being filled. It's just making sure that everything's playing nice together and everything goes the way it should. Now, another thing I want to mention is going to be manual water changes. Now, that is something I'm probably not going to use as much, but there was a task in there for it, so I figured I would go in here and jump in here and go ahead and program it. And what that does, it's going to allow me to convert one of the feed modes in Neptune Fusion to an automatic water change button. Just think about it, guys. Sit on the couch, be like, man, you know what? Tank ain't looking right. Let me just hit feed C, and boom, that's kicking off an auto water change in the system, 5, 10, 20 gallons for that particular day that you want done. And you're just still sitting on the couch, guys. Not a bucket. I don't have to hook up a pump to drain the system. I don't have to do anything. Just press the button and just keep it moving. So that's a quick rundown on just how easy it was to set it up. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Now, I do have a mini gripe, if you want to say that. It just made more sense for a cleaner install to, have the fresh salt water on the left dosing head and the draining on the right dosing head, which also meant putting the input line on the left of the head and the output on the right of the head, same on both heads. In doing so, it has to spin to the right. Well, during priming, it spins to the right, which was no problem, but as soon as you use the task, it converts the right head into a drain line and makes it spin left by default, which completely is counterproductive as far as the way I have the lines routed. So I had to go in there and make a quick change. If you go into the specific head you can update the interval and have it change from remove to add, and that basically makes it spin right. So keep that in mind. Remove spins left, add spins right, and if you don't go change it, you're going to have to flip your lines, and that's something to keep in mind. And now the last thing worth noting is going to be the orientation of your drain line versus your refill line. And for me, I put the drain line and the skimmers, or the refugium section of the sump, basically upstream of the fill line, thinking that, I don't want to be removing the same fresh salt water I'm putting into the tank, and the likelihood of that happening is way less with it going into the actual return section and going right up to the tank. And by the time that water mixes with the display and makes it back down, the likelihood of it being drained out at the same time is very slim to none. And that's pretty much the way I have it set up. And I highly recommend, if you're not going to do it this way, have a plan to try to avoid those lines being too close together, because you don't want to be counterproductive removing the same fresh water you're putting into the tank. So I know what you guys are thinking, man, CJ, you are crazy. That seemed, complicated, very difficult to do. I promise you, it really wasn't, guys. Besides running the roadie lines through the drywall, that was all me. And then following the task, pretty straightforward. Now, reversing the heads and, using the liquid level sensors in the sump and optical sensors for extra precautions, something you really don't have to do. But I already have those things installed on the tank, so why not tie them in and add some redundancy? Redundancy is always a great thing in the hobby, right? So for me, pretty easy to do, and I'm really looking forward to the potential impacts of an automatic water change on the Be Easy Reef. Considering that we do have SPS in the system now, and I definitely want to try to limit, the swings from water changes. Even though I could do them pretty quickly, any 5, 10, 15% water change is happening in an instant. Water flow stopping, starting, all of those can be mitigated and eliminated from using the Neptune DOS Quad drive for automatic water changes. So really looking forward to seeing what happens. As the no swings and the additional consistency going to help my core growth, going to help the status of the tank. I would assume it will, but you guys know me. I'm going to report any issues that may or may not happen with it, right? That's the point of the hobby. That's the point of having a YouTube channel to document the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in the meantime, if I get to share some, nice gear with you all and some nice ideas of implementing that gear, why not go ahead and share it? So if you guys are interested in more daily content, make sure you stop by my Instagram, CJ's Aquariums. For those who are just on YouTube, don't worry, I got you covered. After this video, definitely are going to do a tank walkthrough, because a few things have been happening in the Be Easy Reef. With addition to new SPS, we have had a few things drama worthy that we have to talk about in the next video. So as always, hey, you guys can like, comment, subscribe. You guys keep doing what y'all do. Y'all be easy and happy reefing. Catch you next time. Peace. Sound check for the DOS Quad drive, for those that are curious. Right, that's the drain line, and that is the fill line. Quietest piece of gear on the tank, without a doubt. It's not even close.